preparing to live stream the meeting.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Kodi Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Apara Karuna Sindham Jnanadam Shantarupinam Sri Chandrasekharam Pranamami Mudanvaham Tatan Devasi Varyancha Jeevo Dharnatatparam Sri Jayendra Gurum Pujam Pranamami Mudanvaham Chaturdashavaya Praptam Sanyasam Sumahamatim Namami Shankararambham Sri Vijendra Saraswatim Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Swasti Vachanam. Om Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Pitadipati Jagadguru Shri Shankaracharya Shri Charanayo Shri Pranama Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Shri Mahatripura Sundari Sameta Shri Chandramaulishvara Namaha Swasti Sri Madagila Bhumandala Lankara Trayastrimsat Kodi Devata Sevita Sri Kamakshi Devi Sanata Sri Made Kamranata Sri Mahadevi Sanata Sri Hastigirinata Sakshatkara Paramadhishtana Satyavrata Namankita Kanchi Divya Kshetre Sharada Mata Sustitanam Aturita Sudar Samadurya Kamalasana Kamini Dammilla Sampulla Mallika Malika Nishyanda Makaranda Jari Sauvastika Vangnigamba Vizirmanananda Dundilida Madishi Mandalanam Anavarada Advaita Vidya Vinodarasikanam Nirantaralankriti Krita Shanti Danti Bhumnam Shakalabhavana Chakra Pratishtha Bhaka Shri Chakra Pratishtha Vikhyadesholankrthanam Nikila Pashanda Shanda Kantakot Patanenam Vishadikrita Veda Vedanta Marga Shanmada Pratishtha Bhakacharyanam Srimat Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Varya Shri Jagat Guru Smt Shankara BhagavatpadaL Adhishtane Simhasana Abhishekta Srimat Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Samyamindranam Ante Vasi Varya Srimat Jayendra Saraswati Sri Padhanam Padande Vasi Varya Srimat Shankara Vijayendra Saraswati Sri Padhanancha Charana Nalinayo Saprachayam Shanchari Bandancha Namaskurmaha. Swagatam. On this auspicious Vrishchika Kartika Masam, Bhairavashtami Day, Kanchi Kamakoti Seva Foundation, Midwest Chapter, welcomes all the live stream viewers to this month's Kamakoti Parayana Mandali program. The Kamakoti Parayana Mandali program has been conducting monthly discourses and lectures on Sanatana Dharma, the blessings of Puja Sri Periya Foundation, the Midwest Chapter. We are extremely honored to welcome today's speaker, Smt Rajani Arjun Shankar from India, to give a discourse on Neethi Shatakam. Smt Rajani ji learned the basics of Vyakarna and Kavyas from Sri Vajudur Rajagopala Sharma and later completed her master's in Sanskrit literature. She was a teacher in the school KFI for some years, teaching various subjects. She is also deeply interested in Tamil literature and Carnatic music. She has translated the Kirtis of Muthuswami Dikshidhar and those of Sadashiv Brahmendra and the Mela Raga Malika of Mahavaidyanath Shivan to English. These are all available on various blogs on the internet. She has also provided narrative support for many thematic concerts based on Muthuswami Dikshidhar's Kritis. Also, our very own Srimati Maragadamma Mani from our Midwest chapter taught her in the 12th grade, and she was a great source of inspiration and encouragement to her. Srimati Rajani ji, thanks for taking your valuable time to join us on Satsangam today, and eagerly awaiting to hear your discourse. Hari Om.
Namaskaram. Shrikanto Matulo Yasya Janani Sarvamangala Janaka Shankaro Devaha Tamvande Kunjarananam Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatume Sada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaskaram to everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about a very interesting and charming work, Neethi Shatakam. I'll just share my slides. Yeah. So Neethi Shatakam is a work written by Bhartruhari. Before going into the work itself, I'd like to give a small introduction, a context for this work, why it is worth looking at this work and how it is different from other books, etc. Some of this, the content which I say as an introduction would be known to many of you. Please bear with that. So we all keep searching for what is the purpose of our life. We keep wondering what is the reason why we have been put on this earth, what gives meaning to our lives. So our ancestors and forefathers have said that there are 4 purposes of life. It's a very comprehensive list, and I would say that anything which we reflect and arrive upon would automatically fall under these 4: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma, loosely translated, it's a very vast term, so I loosely translated to righteousness. Artha and kama are wealth and pleasures. Pleasures includes comforts, luxuries, happiness, everything. Moksha is the salvation or liberation. These are defined in Tamil as Aram, Porul, Inbam, and Veedu. And in fact, we all would know that in Thirukkural, you have these 3 as the 3 large divisions. Thirukkural is a very important Shastra in Tamil. So you have Arathipal, Porutpal, and Inbathipal there. And Veedu is not mentioned in Thirukkural because the understanding is that the 3, when they are enjoyed properly, will automatically lead to moksha or the moksha margam. And also in Aram, there is a section called Turavaram, which talks about sannyasa dharma, which is also directly connected to Veedu. So talking about these 4 Purushaarthas, the second and third, the Artha and Kama, no one really needs to tell us about it or motivate us for these. These come very naturally because all our innate nature, in fact, not only human beings, all living beings, the innate nature is to seek happiness or seek pleasure. And as human beings, we realize that for satisfying that desire to attain various pleasures in this world, we need wealth. So creating wealth by working for it. So these 2 come very naturally in every part of this world, wherever human beings are. And now what we have to understand is that if we think of Artha and Kama as like a large river, this river can just swell and sweep us away. Therefore, our forefathers with a lot of wisdom have given Dharma and Moksha like the 2 banks of this river, to restrain it, to keep it under check, and to give it a good proper movement. So this river is Artha and Kama, and the Dharma is the regulator for this. So Dharma is a very vast term, as I said. Translating it as religion or righteousness, all these are very limited actually. The Vedas are the source of all dharma. You must have heard of the statement, Vedo Akhilo Dharma Moolam. And the instructions given in the Vedas have been given to us as smritis by rishis. And these smritis are also called as Dharma Shastras. And based on these Dharma Shastras, many books have been written in various languages, Indian languages, including Tamil. So now if you look at the word Neethi, Neethi is maybe we could call it a slightly different shade from Dharma. They're largely the same. Neethi would mean ethics. It also means whatever principles or policies we want to follow in a particular area of our operation. That is why we have words like Rajaniti for the policies or principles of governing. We have the word like Dandaniti, which is the principles or policies about punishing evildoers, etc. So Niti means ethics. So Niti contains all that we need to follow. I mean, it encompasses both personal as well as professional ethics. When I say personal, it means what we want to follow as individuals. Professionals, meaning professional life, meaning in our work with other people, in the manner of creating wealth, etc., whatever we do, those also would come under Niti. So when we talk about cultivating living with dharma, which is a very important purpose of life, which gives meaning to the other two also, one of the important facets of dharma is to cultivate good qualities like truth, kindness, humility, respect, being helpful to others. So these qualities are universal, and all religions, of course, talk about this. Now, in dharma, when you say that these are all required, and Dharma Shastra tells us to cultivate them initially. They are the basis, a foundation on which all other dharma is built. Now, these books on Niti describe all these qualities. They urge us to cultivate them, because all of us definitely would be born with some of these qualities naturally. They would be our innate nature. But there are other qualities which we need to work towards and cultivate. So each of us will have different good qualities or virtues, and we work for the others. So based on this, the Niti, the books on Niti Shastras, we could say, they urge us. So there are many Niti Shastras in Sanskrit itself, Niti Ratnam, Niti Saram, etc. Amongst these, Neethi Shatakam is the most famous, we could say. Similarly, you have so many Tamil books also, Neethi Venba, all the works of Auvayar, like Ati Chudi, Konrai Vendan, Mooduri, these are all Neethi Nools. We have a whole section called Padinan Kanakku Noolgal in Tamil, which are all based on instruction of these morals to us. So in this context, Neethi Shatakam is, we could say, something which encompasses dharma, which talks about dharma and artha also. So talking about the author of this book, Bhartruhari, now we don't really have any biographical details about him in a very strong, with enough evidence. Everything we hear is only hearsay. We have a lot of stories about him, which you can read. They're very interesting stories. Some people say that he was a king and he was the brother of Vikramaditya. So various stories you can hear about him. And he was a very good king who was also a person who used to enjoy the worldly life. And after that, he became an ascetic, a yogi, after giving up, after realizing how worthless or futile this worldly life is. So you see that his works, the 3 Shatakams he has written. In fact, there is also a grammar work written by him, Vakhyapadiyam, based on some references to this in other places. Some people feel that he would have lived in the 6th century. That's believable. Maybe he lived any time before the 6th century, because he is mentioned in a work which is dated at that time. So there are 3 Shatakams which he has written, and you can see a unity of style in all of them. So it is definitely the same author. So Neethi Shatakam, Sringara Shatakam, and Vairagya Shatakam. So Neethi Shatakam covers areas in dharma and artha, how to lead our personal and professional lives. And then he has written a Shatakam of 100 verses. Shatakam means 100 verses, called Sringara Shatakam, which is about worldly enjoyment, romance, etc. Then there is another very beautiful work called Vairagya Shatakam, which talks about the meaninglessness of this world. So it's a step of Vairagyam, as we know, is one of the qualities people should cultivate when they start going in the Moksha Margam. When you're a very serious student of Vedanta, etc., then you cultivate Vivekam, Vairagyam, etc. So the Vairagya Shatakam gives us so many beautiful ways, explains to us why Vairagyam is so important and how it is a cause of so much freedom in our mind, so much loss of fear. Till then we keep fearing for things, and so the greatness of Vairagyam is brought out. It's also a very poetic work. There is also a story that this Bhartruhari, when he was a king in North India, was he was influenced by, he became the disciple of the saint from Tamil Nadu who is called Pattinattar. and he became his disciple and became an ascetic and followed him to South India. So there are stories about him. In Tamil, he's called Bhadragiri. So Bhadragiri is the Tamil form of Bhartruhari. So there are stories about how both of them, the Guru and the Sishya, used to live at the different Gopurams of Thiruvadai Marudur, and how they used to interact, etc. Some interesting stories abound in that. So there is also a Tamil connection to Bhartruhari. So this is all we need to know about him. And now coming to this work itself, Neethi Shatakam, the most versions would have 109 verses, one Mangala Shlokam followed by 108 verses. There are some copies or some versions which have a few extra shlokas also. All the shlokas in Neethi Shatakam are muktakas, meaning they are independent verses. There is no thread of connection between the first verse and the next, etc. Each one can be taken individually and enjoyed. So it's like a collection of subhashitams only, unlike, for example, Thirukkural. So these are all muktakas, and therefore each one can be taken in any context. You can take it out of the book and just read it individually and make sense of it. The interesting thing about Vairagya Shatakam as well as Neethi Shatakam is that Bhartruhari is a great poet, and he doesn't limit himself to one kind of meter. So the rhythm or the cadence keeps changing in the verses. So it's very interesting. So you have Anushtup, which is short 32 syllable shlokas. Then you have Vasanta Tilakam. The Vasanta Tilakam is the same meter as Kanakadhara Stotram, first 10 verses. Shikharini, which is the same meter as Soundarya Lahari. Shardula Vikriditam, which is found in many verses in Shivananda Lahari, etc. So these are all very common meters found in Stotras also. Now he has mixed them all up. So you keep finding that there is a change. There's also Malini. So many other vrittams keep coming in Neethi Shatakam, which is part of the beauty. Now, what makes it a very interesting work is that you have a special feature called a poet's perspective, which you would not find in other Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastras are written by rishis who write it with a lot of compassion. They would write it in a very kind or sometimes even stern manner, in the manner of parents instructing children. But a poet takes the liberty. He makes us reflect on our conduct, and he also impels us to cultivate virtues, but he would do this by making fun of us, exaggerating, dramatizing things. So it's a friendly work. It makes the whole thing more accessible, and in fact he holds a mirror to our faults, but impersonally. So for example, if somebody would tell us that what you're doing is very stupid, then obviously we would feel offended. But if he describes what is stupid behavior or some behavior of a stubborn person, etc., then they can read it as if they're reading about somebody else. But somewhere down the line, we would also start reflecting, now, am I doing these kind of things? So it makes us conscious or think about our faults, but in a very gentle and impersonal manner. So that is the advantage of reading poetry. So Dharma Shastras and the Vedas are the root. They are the foundation, no doubt. But based on that, these works have been written. Okay, so inside Neethi Shatakam, there are many subheadings. These have not been given by the poet. Later commentators and scholars have loosely classified them into subheadings, the content into subheadings. Now, these subheadings are not watertight. So you will find that the same topic, the same theme might occur in some other topic also. Okay, so, but loosely you could say that around 10 to 12 or 10 to 20 verses are there under each subheading. The first one is called Murkha Nindha. Like I said, he condemns foolishness. Then you have a few shlokas talking in praise of learning and erudition, how important it is to learn things, to appreciate arts, etc. And there is a section called Manashaurya Prasahamsa or Manashaurya Paddhati. All these prashamsas can be also replaced by paddhatis, which means the tradition or the content which is talking about these things. So this is about dignity, self-respect, courage, how to lead a life of great dignity. Then there is a section on wealth, Dhana Mahima. Then there is a section on Dhurjana Nindha, which means criticizing or censuring evil people, wickedness. Satsanga Sajjana Prashamsa. It talks about how good people are, what is the lakshanam, or how do good people live in this world, and how important it is to be associated with them, go and cultivate friendship with them so that we can also become like them. Then there are many shlokas on Paropakaram, the importance of helping others. Paropakara Paddhati or Prashamsa. Para Upakaram means helping other people, not related to us, but even strangers. Dhairya Paddhati, which talks about the importance of determination or steadfastness. So when you take up some project, whether it is in dharma or artha, whatever we take up, staying on in that without giving up in between. So that is the shlokas explaining the importance of that. And finally, there is also a Daiva Paddhati. Daivam or Bhagyam, Karma, all these terms are used synonymously. It talks about the power of destiny. It's a kind of reminder to us that even if you follow all these good practices, even if you are very steadfast, etc., there could be times when you don't achieve the goal that you're looking for, and that could be because of the karma that we have accumulated. So that is it's a last section which sort of makes us ready to accept the fact that everything cannot go as per plans alone. Okay. Now let's go on to the Mangala Shloka. So I'll just go over the subheadings again. Murkha Ninda, Vidya Vak Prashamsa, Manashaurya Prashamsa, Dhana Mahima, Dhurjana Nindha, Satsanga Sajjana Prashamsa, Paropakara Paddhati, Dhairya Paddhati, and Daiva Paddhati. We'll be looking at 2 or 3 shlokas under each of these sections to get a sense of what he is saying in those. Let's start with the Mangala Shloka. It's a prayer to a Nirguna Brahman, to a formless God. Dikkaladi anavachinna ananta chinmatra murtaye swanubhutyeka manaya namah shantaya tejase. So there is a Shanta Tejas, the calm or smoldering kind of effulgence, brilliance, which is there inside everyone, and that is Dikkaladi anavachinam. Avachinam means broken or limited. This is unlimited by time and space. And this is Anantam, infinite. And it is Chinmatra Murti. It's an embodiment. It is the consciousness everywhere, inside us and everywhere else also. And it is understood only by our own experience. Swa Anubhuti Eka Manam. It is to be measured only by our experience. It's very difficult to explain to other people in words. So this shloka, such a beautiful shloka, Dikkala Dhyanava Chinna Ananta Chinmatra Murtaye Swanubhutyeka Manaya Namashantaya Tejase. So recently I heard a very beautiful incident when I heard the experiences of Mahamahopadhyaya, Shri Seshadrinath Shastri, his experiences with Mahaperiva, where in some context, in a particular institution, some people came and they were complaining to Mahaperiva that they are getting a lot of students to study Sahityam, which is literature, but not enough people to study Vedantam as a subject. So for that, Mahaperiva called one young student, asked him to chant some shloka. He said one shloka from the Kumara Sambhavam of Kalidasa, and Mahaperiva pointed out saying, Idila Vedanta Millaya, doesn't this have Vedanta? And similarly, he called another child and asked him to say what he is learning now. And this was the shloka said by that child. And immediately Mahaperiva said, Idila Vedanta Millayo, is this not Vedanta? So he was trying to tell them that don't separate Sahityam from Vedanta. I think this is what he was implying, because Sahityam is also replete with the understanding of Vedanta. So that's an interesting thing we could remember about this shloka. Now we go on to Murkha Ninda section, where the qualities you see that Bhartruhari is actually condemning us are obstinacy, being very stubborn, loquacity, talking unnecessarily, gossiping, etc., being too haughty, being petty. So all these are qualities which he brings under Murkha Ninda. So look at the first shloka here. Agyaha sukham aradhyaha sukhataram aradhyate viseshagyaha jnana lava durvidagdham brahmapi naram naranjayati. So Agnaha means a very simple person who doesn't know much, an ignorant person. You can please him happily. And you can even more easily please somebody who's Visheshagnya, who's an expert in something. So these are people who will understand and who will be nice. But Jnana Lavam means a small bit of knowledge somebody has acquired, and because of that he is Durvedagdha, is very haughty. Such a person, even Brahma cannot please him. Brahma api naram naranjayati. So the danger of a little bit of learning, they say. No? So this is the statement which Bhartruhari says, and it seems to me that he is indirectly telling us the importance of being a gentle and a simple person. Okay, so not take whatever we learn to our heads and think we know everything. Then another very humorous, interesting shloka. Swayattam ekanta gunam vidhatra vinirmitam chhadanam agnatayaha visheshataha sarvavidam samaje vibhushanam maunam apanditanam. So he said there is a chhadanam, a cover given for agnyata, ignorance, which is created by vidhata, vinirmitam, vidhatra, and it is swayatam. It's available to all of us. We don't have to work hard to acquire it. Ekanta gunam, it's very unique, always effective, and that is maunam, keeping quiet. And he says, especially sarva vidam samaje, visheshata means especially in a group of people who are very knowledgeable. Maunam apanditanam vibhushanam. Apandita, meaning people who are not those kind of experts, is best to keep quiet. So there is a quote which we hear that Abraham Lincoln has said that it is better to keep quiet and assume that you know nothing rather than open your mouth and remove all doubt. So that's again that's also a very humorous one, but I think the message is very simple, that not talking when it is not required. Okay, so now we'll go to the second section, which is in praise of learning and erudition, Vidya Vak Prashamsa. He also talks about appreciating the arts. So this is one area where a lot of subhashitas anyway exist in Sanskrit. We all would have read things like Vidyaya Vindate Amritam, or Vidya Dadati Vinayam Vinayadhyati Patratam. Those kind of subhashitams are many in number, which talk about learning, the importance of learning. So let's see what Bhartruhari says. Again, a very funny, humorous verse. Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha Sakshat Pashuhu Puchha Vishanahinaha Trinam Nakhadan Napi Jivamanaha Tad Bhagadeyam Paramam Pashunam. So he says a person who is vihina, bereft of Sahitya Sangeeta Kala, learning and music and other arts, meaning if he's not developing a knowledge or taste in this, he's Sakshat Pashu, he's just an animal. But Puchha Vishanahina, he doesn't have a tail, he doesn't have horns, that's all. Otherwise, he's just an animal. And he says he doesn't eat grass like the cattle do. Trinam na khadan, he doesn't eat grass. Jivamana, still he's able to subsist on other foods. Tad bhagadeyam paramam pashunam, that is the great good fortune of all these pashus, all these cattle, because otherwise he would compete with them even for eating grass. So it's a good fortune of cows that he does not eat grass. So that is the way in which he tells us, try and acquire some knowledge in Sahitya Sangeeta Kala. So this reminds me of also another Thirukkural which comes under Kallamai. Same idea. Vilangodu Makkal Anayar Ilangu Nool Katrarodu Enayavar. So people who haven't learned are comparable to animals compared to learned people. Then there is another, this is a very famous shloka from Neethi Shatakam. Keyurani na bhushayanti purusham hara na chandrojvalaha. So Keyurams means the armlets, shoulder, what you wear on the shoulder, those kind of vangi we say in Tamil. Those ornaments, hara chandrojvala, moon-like necklaces, these don't adorn a person. Na snanam, na vilepanam, na kusumam, na alankrita murdhajaha. Just bathing and applying perfume, flowers, and doing up your hair, these are not important. Vani eka samalankaroti purusham ya samskrita dharyate. So samskrita vani means refined, pure speech, good speech, that alone can adorn a person. Shiyante Akhila Bhushanani. All the other Bhushanas can wear away with time. They will get jaded. But Satatam Vagbhushanam Bhushanam. But the Bhushanam of good speech will always remain. So the importance of eloquence. So this is something we know that a lot of people have, even stotras like in Mukha Kavis, etc. We find that we keep requesting or we keep mentioning about how as a result of bhakti, we get Ambal or all the gods, they give us Vakhyapadiyam. Because that's something very important to communicate with other people. Nanalam ennum nalan udaimai, annalam yanalattu ulladum andru. So in the chapter called Sol Vanmai, Thiruvalluvar also says the same thing, saying there is nothing greater than Nanalam, the ability to talk clearly and eloquently. Now we go on to the third section, which is Manashaurya Prasahamsa. Somehow the image of the Pandavas of having lived with that always comes to our mind. That's why the picture here. So living with great dignity, courage, and showing, being an exemplar for virtues which we would like to admire and also cultivate. It's a very long section. This is I would probably about 20 shlokas would come under this subheading. So one shloka where he says the extremes of each category. Kshantihi chet kavachena kim. If you have patience, why do you need an armor? Meaning you will have no enemies. Kim aribhihi krodho asti chet dehina. Dehis means human beings. If we have anger, why do we need other enemies? The anger itself would be our enemy. It would bring us all destruction, evil. Nyatihi chet analena kim. If you have relatives, kinsmen, why do you need fire? Suhrid divyaushadhaihi yadi suhrid divyaushadhaihi kim. If you have a very good friend, why do you need even great medicines? The friend is like a good medicine. Kim sarpaihi yadi dhurjanaha. If there are evil people, you don't need snakes. Kimu dhanaihi vidya anavadyayadi. If you have very pure and faultless learning, then wealth is of secondary importance. Vrida chet kimu bhushanehi. If a person has vrida means a sense of shame, a sense of not wanting to do what is improper. If that is there, why does that person need other bhushanas? Sukavita yadi asti rajyena kim. If you can read or create beautiful poetry, what is the need for even ruling a kingdom? So enjoying poetry is even greater than ruling a kingdom. That is the last one. So here, especially, it's very interesting to see what he says. Why do we need fire when you have relatives? So this is something which we need to think about. Maybe he's talking about the positive effects of fire. Just like a fire would provide you food and warmth, the relatives can give you all that. Maybe that is the implication. Or relatives can also be scathing. They can cause destruction. So all those meanings are hidden here. So one of the nice things about Neethi Shatakam or any such Neethi Noolgal is that they give us something to keep thinking and discussing. They give us topics for conversing about and unpacking different levels of meaning from all this. Then this also comes under dignity only, where he says, great people, when they start something, they never give it up. And whereas ordinary or inferior people wouldn't even start something thinking that anyway there will be some problems if I start. And the mediocre people would start something. If they are able to continue without any problem, they would continue. But if they encounter something in between, they would stop. So prarabhyate na khalu vighna bhayena nichaihi. The inferior people don't start because of vighna bhayam, being afraid of obstructions. Prarabhya vighna vihata viramanti madhyaha. Madhya means the middling people. They stop after they get some vignam. Vignaihi punah punarapi pratihanyamanaha. Even if tormented by obstacles again and again, prarabdham uttama guna na parityajanti. So very noble people never give up what they started. even after being troubled by many obstacles again and again. So here the word prarabdham does not have anything to do with the karma, which we call prarabdha karma. Here it just means what has been well started. Prarabdham, that's all. Okay. Then another very beautiful one, this word Asidhara Vratam. This is also quite a famous shloka from Neethi Shatakam, which is quoted by people in other places also. A beautiful pen portrait of a person who lives a very exemplary, beautiful life. And that life is not easy. It is like walking on the edge of a sword. So the razor's edge, which is the phrase we hear about, walking on the edge, Asidhara Vratam. In fact, this is the phrase which is found in the Upanishad, Kathopanishad also, in a different moksha context. Here he says, living the normal life which every human being needs to live, Priya Nyaya Vritti. This person follows a vritti, a conduct which is both pleasing as well as fair to everyone. Malinam asubhangepi asukaram. Asubhanga means giving up one's life. Even if there is a danger coming to one's life, that person will not do a wrong deed. Malinam, meaning a sin. He would not, it is asukaram. It's impossible for him to do that. Asanto tu asanto na abhyarthyaha. Evil, they would never go and seek some favor from people who are not good people. Suhridapi na yachyaha krishadhanaha. Even if they don't have much wealth, they won't go and beg anything from a suhrid, from a friend. They won't take favors even from friends. So they are so high-minded. Vipadi uchaihi stheyam. Even during dangers, they remain very noble. Padam anuvidheyam cha mahata. They follow the footsteps of great people. They follow the footsteps of Mahatmas. Satam kena uddishtam vishamam asidhara vratam idam vishamam. Vishamam means very tough, very difficult. Asidhara vratam, the vratam of, or the principle of walking on asidhara. Who has taught this to good people? Kena uddishtam means who has shown them this path? How is it that so many good people now they follow these kind of noble qualities? Who has taught them? So this Kena Uddishtam is a very nice exclamation, which brings us to think that, I mean, these come so naturally to people who are high-minded, and therefore we could learn from that. Another very famous shloka, Kusuma stabakasya eva dvayi vrittir manasvinaha murdhniva sarvalokasya vishiryeta vane athava. So very, very great, mighty warriors, no? They would want nothing but victory, or they wouldn't mind dying. They wouldn't want anything in between, a compromise or surrender, these kind of things. So you can apply this to regular life contexts also, wherever possible. But basically, this would apply to Mahaviras only. So like they are called here as Manasvis. Manasvi means a Mani, somebody who has great self-respect, who is very proud and very particular to protect that Manam. So such a Manasvi, he has only Dvayi Vritti, he has only two courses of action. Kusuma, like the Kusuma Stabakam, like a bunch of flowers. Now a beautiful bunch of flowers, either it would be plucked and it would adorn the heads of people or even heads of gods, or the bunch would never be picked up, it would die in the forest. It would just fade away in the forest. So Murdhniva Sarva Lokasya, on the heads of people, of everyone, or Vishiryeta Vane, it can just fall away or die in the forest itself. So these are the only two courses available. There's nothing in between. There is no seeking the mercy of others. Another one about this Manashauryam talks about the Shauryam of the Simha Shishu, the lion cub. Simhaha Shishurapi Nipatati Madamalina Kapola Bhittishu Gajeshu. So even if it's a child or a cub, the lion goes and falls on gajas, on elephants which have their kapolam, the cheeks filled with madam, which is they are in rut. So the temporin is flowing on their cheeks, which means they are very strong and youthful elephants, not young or weak elephants. They are in the prime of youth. So those kind of elephants, the lion cub doesn't hesitate to go and jump on them. Prakriti iyam sattvavata. This is the Prakriti, nature of powerful people. Na khalu vayaha tejaso hetu. So vayas or the age is not a factor. We see this in many areas. No, sometimes we find that, of course, this could also, we also know that this could be because of the Purva Janma Vasana, that they have come with so much ability in various fields. And when you see that ability in a small child, then you have to respect them. You have to remember that Vayas Tejaso, Nakhalu Vayas Tejaso Hetu. Those last 4 words are to be remembered like a proverb. They can be quoted, saying, don't judge a person by their age. Now, Dhana Mahima, the importance of wealth. Of course, Dhanam is very important to conduct our life. There is no doubt about it. But it's also something which you have to give away enough in charity. Otherwise, just accumulating is not something to be praised. So that's why we find that this section is not without sarcasm. So we'll see the first verse. You'll see that itself is so filled with sarcasm. Yasya asti vittam sagnarah kulinaha sa panditaha sa shrutavan gunagnaha. Whoever has money, who has wealth, vittam means wealth, he is a kulina, born in a great family. He is pandita, he is a scholar. He is shrutavan, he is very learned. Gunagnaha, he knows, he is very discerning. He knows what is good, what is bad. He is a connoisseur. Sa eva vakta, he is a good orator. Sa darshaniyaha, he is good looking. Sarve guna kanchanam ashrayanti. So when somebody is wealthy, all these other qualities automatically come to him. So you can see that there is a hint of sarcasm here, saying that we give too much importance to wealth in this world and to wealthy people more than deserving. And so interestingly, Valluvar has echoed exactly the same sentiment. So look at this Thirukkural, which comes in Porul Adigaram. Porul allavare porulaga seyyum porul alladu illai porul. So the meaning is, there is nothing better than wealth to make a worthless man worthy, considered worthy. So again, the same. So there is a concession that, of course, wealth is important, but these great poets also don't want to give it that much importance. So that's why this hidden message saying, don't think this is the most important thing in life. Then there is an advice to kings, which also comes under Dhana Mahima, because kings, all their actions, including battles, etc., are for acquiring land and acquiring wealth. So the Artha Shastram itself is directed towards kings, because of course, in the modern context, we could say this for businesses also. So they want to expand, they want to grow in wealth. So how do you grow in wealth and how do you make the earth? So there is no, it is not something that can be separated from the duty of the king. And that is what this shloka says. Rajan, it's addressing a king. O king, dudhukshasi yadi kshiti dhenu metam. If you want to milk this bhumi, kshiti, of all its wealth, you want to become very wealthy. Tena adya vatsamiva lokamamum pushana. So do the poshanam, nourishing of the loka, all the people in your country, like vatsam, like you would protect the calf. So when the calf is well taken care of, the cow will automatically give you a lot of milk. Tasminscha samyak anisham pariposhyamane. When that vatsa is very well nourished, anisham always, nana phalaihi phalati kalpalata iva bhumi. Bhuma Devi will give you all the good things as if she is the wish-fulfilling creeper, kalpalata, kalpataru or kalpalata. So she'll give you everything you want and more if you only take care of people. So this is to ensure that the pursuit of wealth is not done at the cost of taking care of one's people. Then another shloka, here again, very, subtle, because this whole thing is so indirect. It has a lot of dhvani. So the whole shloka is addressed not to people, but it is addressed to the Chataka birds. Re re Chataka savadhana manasa mitra kshanam shruyata. So we all know that Chatakas are birds which are celebrated in poetry. We can call them mythical birds, which don't drink anything except water coming from the clouds. They are not able to drink anything. And therefore, Chatakas, normally we even use it for referring to very high-minded people who don't want to take anything from ordinary people, but only will seek it from God. So Chatakas, for example, this Chataka reference comes in Kanakadhara Stotra, where Adi Shankaracharya tells Mahalakshmi, goddess Lakshmi, that this poor Chataka is waiting for some relief. So let your Karuna give the shower of wealth to it. So here the poet says, Re Re Chataka Savadhana Manasa Mitra, O friend of mine, Kshanam Shruyata, listen to me for at least 1 second. Ambhoda Bahavo Vasanti Gahane. There are Gagane. On the sky there are lots of clouds. Sarvepi na ekadishaha. All of them are not the same. Kechid Vrishti Ardrayanti Vasudha. Some of them, they can drench the earth, Vasudha, with their Vrishti, with their showers. Kechid Garjanti, Kechid Vritha. Some of them just make a lot of noise. They roar, but they never give rain. Yam yam pashyasi tasya tasya purataha ma bruhi dinam vachaha. Don't go and say sad things, groveling things in front of everyone you see. So the whole thing is an allegory, is a picture of there are so many rich people in this world. Don't go and beg everyone. Know who is a generous person and go and only ask them for favors. Okay, so they are likely to help you very warmly. So this whole thing, in fact, there is a similar shloka which addresses clouds and says, you know that the Chataka is dependent on you. So why are you waiting for them for the Chatakas to beg you? Just shower your waters. So that's an indirect message to wealthy people. So this one, it's very beautiful. I mean, normally they say that in poetry, one of the greatest qualities to look for is the subtlety. So here the whole thing is very subtle. There is no reference to human beings anywhere, but we can get the meaning very well. A similar Thirukkural, which says, Ituvakkum inbam ariyarkol tam udaimai vaitezhakkum vankanavar. So people who collect a lot of money and they keep it themselves and finally they lose it in some way or the other. Don't they know the joy of giving? That's the statement of, or the sadness which Valluvar is expressing. Now coming to Dhurjana Nindha, censure of good, of evil people. So what do you mean by Dhurjana? He is going to give us a Lakshanam, but we could say that he describes qualities like cruelty, carping, meaning criticizing, talking evil about other people, unfaithfulness, not being loyal to whoever you're supposed to be loyal to, envy, not tolerating the growth or the good qualities of other people. These are all brought under the qualities of Dhurjana. So again, as I said, these make us really reflect and saying, do we have shades of any of this? Should we work towards removing them? That is the purpose of these shlokas finally. So he's a short sloka telling us what is Dhurjanatvam. Akarunatvam akarana vigrahaha, which means akarunatvam, having no karuna, no mercy towards others. Akarana vigraha, picking up fights for no reason, quarreling, being quarrelsome. Paradhane parayoshiticha spriha, desiring or coveting other people's property or other women, other people's spouses, etc. Then Sujana Bandhu, Sujana Bandhu Janeshu api asahishnuta. They are intolerant or envious even towards very good people, meaning very gentle, nice people. But even if those people get something good, we can't tolerate it. And even if their own relatives get some glory, they can't tolerate it. So Sujana Bandhu Janeshu asahishnuta. The asahishnuta is an exact translation of the Tamil word poramai, poruthukollamai. You're not able to tolerate the good things coming to another person or the good things they are doing also. Prakriti siddhamidam hi duratmana. So the duratmas or evil people, this is what comes naturally to them. There is another shloka which talks about the quintessential or the extreme qualities in every category. I'm just presenting this with the word split. Lobhaha chet agunena kim. If there is greed, what is the need for other bad qualities? The greed will bring in all other qualities. Greed will make us angry, it will make us envious, etc. So all other good qualities come in. It will make us ruthless in pursuit of wealth, etc. Then if there is Pishunata yadi asti, kim patakaihi. If there is slander, Pishunata literally means talking about people behind their backs. So obviously it's not, you're not talking good things, talking evil things about people or slandering them behind their backs. Pishunata yadi asti kim, then you don't need to do any other sin. That itself is the worst sin. Satyam chet tapasak chakim. If you are so committed to truth, to always talking the truth, why do we need any other penance? That itself is a great penance. Kim Sushi Manaha Yadi Asti Tirthena Kim. If the mind is very pure, there's no need to go to Tirthas for pilgrimage. Saujanyam Yadi Chet Kim Nijaihi. If you have a friendly nature, what is the need for own or relative family members? That means that wherever you go, because of your friendly nature, everybody will become your friends and they will be like family to you. So if that nature is there of being a very genial person, then you will have a family wherever you go. Swa Mahima yadi asti kim mandanaihi. If you have that natural imposing stature or dignity, what is the need for wearing ornaments? Sadvidya yadi kim dhanaihi. If there is very good learning, why do you need wealth? Even without wealth, you can get whatever you want. You can be very happy. And apayasho yadi asti kim mrityuna. So apayashas means disgrace. Or earning a bad name is worse than even death. So these are all, again, as I said, these are some of these shlokas are packed with so many ideas that they need to be deliberated on, discussed to really understand and enjoy more. Another very witty kind of shloka. He says, if you are a person working for somebody who is a powerful or a rich person, God save you, you will have to, and if that person is an evil one, is a Dhurjana. So we all know, we think that it's a very modern problem of working with under somebody, a supervisor or somebody who is not understanding or nice. But obviously these thoughts have been always there. So he says, Maunan mukaha pravachana patuhu chatulo jalpakova. So if you practice maunam, you are very silent in that master's presence, he'll call you muka, he'll call you a mute or a dumb person. Pravachana patu, if you talk very nicely, very eloquently, he will call you chatula or jalpaka, meaning you are very talkative or you are trying to be very smart. Drishtaha parshve bhavati cha. If you are always near him, he'll say you are very impudent, bold, audacious, etc. Vasan durato api apragalbha. If you stay far away from him, then he'll say you're being not being good enough, not being capable enough. You're afraid of approaching, or you're being not capable in your work. Shantya bhiruhu yadi na sahate prayasho na abhijataha. If you have shanti, which is kshama, which is patience, if you tolerate their rebukes maybe, then you're considered bhiru, meaning a timid or a cowardly person. But if you talk back, na sahate, if you can't tolerate it and you say, no, how can you call me this or how can you say this, then you are called na abhijata, you are very discourteous, you're not born in a good family. Those kind of statements are made to you. So seva dharmaha parama gahano, the art of serving people is very complex and dense. Yoginam api agamyaha, even yogis can't understand how to make a master very happy. So these are thoughts which are so universal and so timeless. That's the interesting nature of many of these things. Now coming to a very nice section, Sajjana Satsanga Prashamsa. How does friendship with such people grow? So good people are slow in forming their friendships, but over the years it becomes stronger and stronger, and then it lasts for a lifetime. Whereas with evil people, according to Bhartruhari, the friendship may start very, very, very flamboyantly, very in a very big manner, but it would start taper over time. After that, that initial enthusiasm is not sustained. So Arambha Gurvi, very heavy in the beginning, Shaini Kramena, step by step it starts reducing gradually. Laghvi Pura Vridhimati cha Paschat. On the other hand, the other kind is Pura Laghvi, initially light, small. Vridhimati Paschat, it acquires Vridhi, grows. It acquires growth later. So Dinasya Purvardha Parardha Bhinna Chaya Iva Maitri. So these are like the Purvardha Chaya, the morning times shadow. So in the shadow when we walk in the morning is very long initially, it becomes smaller and smaller. So that's the Purvardha Chaya. Parardha Chaya is just the opposite. It starts small afternoon, and as the evening goes, the shadows become longer and longer. This is how the Maitri, friendship of Khala and Sajjananam, of evil people and good people. Interestingly, same thought is there in Thirukkural when he talks about Natpu. Nirai Neera Neeravar Kenmai Piraimadi Pinnira Pedayar Natpu. The example that Thiruvalluvar gives is that of the moon. So the friendship with good people is like the waxing moon, whereas it starts small but grows. Whereas the friendship with other people, Pedayar, meaning people who are not all that great or wise, is like the waning moon. It starts very big but keeps reducing. Then another very packed shloka, but it's very beautiful. So he says, I salute those people who are like this. So a beautiful pen picture of, again, a very noble person. So such a person, he lives in a manner which is Vancha Sajjana Sangami. He wants to go and create friendship with good people, with noble people, with saintly people, etc. Paragune Pritihi. When he sees good qualities in other people or good things in other people, he gets Priti. He becomes very pleased with that. He's very happy that others are doing these good things. There is no envy. Gurau Namrata. He's very humble to his gurus. Vidyayam Vyasanam. He's willing to put in hard work to acquire learning. Svayoshiti Ratihi. He takes delight. He or she takes delight in his or her own spouse. There is no nothing, no other person in that. Lokabhavadat bhayam. Such a person is afraid of a bad name in this world from people. So he wants to keep up a good name, not do anything which is worth criticizing. Bhakti hi Shulini. He has devotion to Lord Shiva. Shuli is Lord Shiva because he has the Trishulam. Shakti hi Atma Damane. He has the power to control himself, to restrain himself. Samsarga Mukti hi Khale. He is free of any contact with evil people. He has no obligation to go and be with evil people. Ete yeshu vasanti nirmala gunaha. These pure qualities, wherever these reside, in whichever person, tebhyo narebhyo namaha. I salute all those human beings who have these qualities. Here, interestingly, it's one of the few places where he talks about bhakti to Lord Shiva. It looks like Bhartruhari was a Shiva Bhakta because in Vairagya Shatakam he mentions Lord Shiva in many places. Of course, he also says in one shloka that whether you call him Shiva or Keshava, it doesn't matter. So that Abheda Bhavam is also there, but his Ishta Devata seems to be Lord Shiva. A very small shloka which explains to us how great people will be. Sampatsu Mahatam Chittam Bhavati Utpala Komalam Apatsu cha Mahashaila Shila Sanghata Karkasham. So during the times of prosperity, the minds of great people are Utpala Komalam. They are as soft as a lily, meaning they are very kind to others. Apatsu cha Mahashaila Shila Sanghata Karkasham. During adversity, dangers, their minds become karkasham, very harsh or hard, like the rock of a mountain, of a great mountain, Mahashailam, which means that they tolerate everything very, very bravely, without breaking up. So if we can see that these extreme qualities are described in Rama also. When you read the Valmiki Ramayana, in the Samkshepa Ramayana, it says, Kalagni Sadrishaha Krodhe Kshamaya Prithvi Samaha. He can, in his anger, he is like the Kalagni, but also very patient like the earth. Then some examples from nature. Bhavanti Namraha Taravaha Phalodgamai. When the fruits come, the trees bend down. Navambu Bhihi Dura Vilambino Ghanaha. The Megha, Ghana means clouds. They become very low hanging when they are filled with lot of fresh water, meaning they are going to give us anytime. Anuddhataha satpurushaha samriddhibhihi. When satpurushas, meaning good people, get samriddhi, get prosperity, that doesn't make them proud or haughty. Swabhava eva esha paropakarina. They are also paropakaris. They want to use that wealth to help other people. Similar thought in Thirukkural, Paniyumam endrum perumai, sirumai aniyumam tannai viyandu. So perumai means the greatness. The quality of greatness always is very humble. One of my very favorite shlokas in Neethi Shatakam, very beautiful definition of a true friend. What all a good friend should do. So it comes under satsangam, no? When you associate with a good friend who's a good person, he does automatically all these. Papa nivarayati, stops you from papam or evil activity or sins. Yojayate hitaya, he urges you and puts you in the path of good things. Hitam is what is good for us. So he makes us do those things, take up useful or good activities. Guhyam niguhati, if we have any secrets, he keeps those secrets. He doesn't divulge them to other people. Gunan prakati karoti, but whatever virtues we have, he goes and tells everyone. He publicizes our virtues about us so unselfishly. Apat gatam cha na jahati. When we are in trouble, he doesn't leave us. He doesn't desert us during the time of danger. Dadati kale. At the right time, he gives us whatever things we need. Sanmitra lakshanamidam nigadanti santaha. I think this is a very comprehensive list of what we could do as friends to our friends and what we can also expect. Comes naturally out of these 6 things which Bhartruhari has said. 3 of them are there in this Thirukkural. Arivinave Niki, stopping us from whatever will take us to destruction. Aruit, showing us the right path. Arivinkan allal urapad, during our dangers, they also suffer. That is the kind of nattu. Allal urpadam nattu. So this is what Valluvar has said about good friendship. Now we'll talk about Paropakaram. Again, as we saw, we have already seen Paropakaram in talking about those trees laden with fruits or with clouds, etc. So like I said, these are not watertight compartments. The qualities will keep appearing in appropriate places. So what is the point in wearing kundalams in your ears or beautiful bracelets in your hands? Those are not really ornaments. So what really decorates our ears is shrutam, learning. So shrutram, shrutena eva na kundalena. Danena panihi natu kankanena. Our hands are decorated by danam, by charity, not by kankanams, bangles or bracelets. Vibhati kayaha karuna paranam paropakarai natu chandanena. So the kaya, the form of karunapi, of karunakara paras, people who are compassionate by nature, it shines or it's radiant because of their paropakaram, not because of chandanam. It's not shining because of chandanam. So not that these accessories or ornaments are not important, but they are not more important than these. These are really the essence of good living. So that's the even earlier we saw Keyurani, that na bhushayanti purusham. That shloka also talked about how redundant these other necklaces or other ornaments are. But the point is that we should give more importance to virtues than to external ornaments. Another shloka where it is not about good people, it is about very great Mahatmas. And that's why this shloka reminded me, I mean, it seems to, whatever we know about Mahaperiyava, these things, these are some of the qualities we have seen in him amongst his many great qualities. So I wanted to connect it with his, that's why this picture here. Manasi vachasi kaye punya piyusha purnaha tribhuvanam upakara shreni bhihi prinayantaha paraguna paramanun parvati kritya nityam nija hridi vikasantaha santi santaha kiyanta. So kiyantaha santaha, a very few good people are there. Santi, they exist, and these are people who are punya piyusha purna. They are filled with the piyusham, means amritam of punyam, goodness, And this punyam is there in their minds, in their vachas, their words, and in their whole body. They embody the amritam called goodness. Then they please or delight the entire three worlds, not just us. So we know that great saints often give a lot of advice and help to even devatas. So sometimes we see them, we would have heard of siddhas and devatas and all coming and seeking blessings from jnanis on this world. So Tribhuvanam upakara shreni bhihi. Shreni means a row. Rows and rows of upakarams. They keep on doing good things, good activities, which please or delight the entire three worlds. Then the third one is a very touching quality. We may have a very small nugget of good quality, and that they would appreciate so much. So the Paramanu, a small atom of good quality that we have, the gunam that we have, they would consider it like a mountain. They would treat it like a mountain. They would praise it as if it's a mountain. And that can make us feel so blessed. So Paraguna, Paramanun, Parvati Kritya. So such people give, they appreciate the good qualities, which also we would have noticed in many incidents connected to Periyava, where whatever small good deeds we do, they appreciate so much. They bless us for those. So Paraguna, Paramanun, Parvati Kritya Nityam, Nija Hridi Vikasantaha. Their hearts are always in blossom. Their hearts are so open and beautifully, like a blossomed flower. Such people are very, very few in number. So this is the description of inside the Paropakara Paddhati. A small idea here, this Paragunan, Paramanun, Parvati Kritya. We find it in Thirukkural also, where he says, Tinai Tunai Nandri Sayinum, Panai Tunaya Kolvar Payantiriva. So good people who are discerning, even if you do a small upakaram to them, which is like a tinai, a small millet, they would consider it like a panai, like a palm fruit. Then Dhairya Paddhati, the importance of staying committed and determined in whatever we do. Courageous. So here the picture is that of the Devas. Again, this is a shloka which is entirely indirect and subtle. So Devas, when they got all the Maharatnas from the churning of the ocean, they got Kamadhenu, Kalpataru, Kaustubham, all those things, but they didn't want to stop with that. So Ratnaihi, Maharhaihi, Tutushuhu na Devaha. They weren't satisfied with all the Ratnas, Airavatam, although that's a Gajaratnam, then Ashwaratnam, called so many Ratnams they were coming from the Milky Ocean, but they were not satisfied. Na bhejire bhima vishena bhitim. They didn't get terrified by the bhima visham, the terrible poison. They requested Lord Shiva, who drank it, and after that they didn't say, oh my God, something terrible might happen again and let us give up. That did not happen. They continued churning. Sudham vina na prayayuhu viramam. Without the Sudha, Sudha means Amritam, without that they did not reach a conclusion. Viramam means ending. They did not stop till they got the Amritam. Na nishchitartha viramanti dhiraha. Dhira, wise and courageous people, don't stop till they reach the nishchitartham, the intent with which they started something, the desired or the planned thing, they definitely will achieve. Then, while going on such a determined path, we may have many ups and downs. So, people may praise us, they may even make fun of us. Wealth may come, wealth may go. We may live long, or death may come very quickly. But all these factors are immaterial to those who want to stay on the good path. So Nindantu Neethi Nipunaha Yadivastuvantu. People who know the Neethis, they may do Ninda, they may criticize us, or they may do Stotram, Stuvantu. Let them do that. Lakshmihi Samavishatu Gachatu va Yatheshtam. May Goddess Lakshmi, which means wealth, she can enter or she can go away. Yatheshtam, as per her wish. Adyaiva va maranamastu yugantareva. Death can come now or after one whole yuga. Nyayat pathaha pravichalanti padam na dhiraha. Dhiraha, the brave people, don't keep even one step. Padam na pravichalanti. Even one step they don't keep away from the path of Nyaya. So that is the quality of dhairyam being described. Another very hope-giving shloka, which says, when the tree is cut, doesn't it sprout again? And when the moon has disappeared, doesn't it start growing again? So look at all these things in nature, and looking at this, don't give up heart when there is a setback. Chinnopi rohati taruhu. Taru is a tree. It grows even after being cut. Kshinopi upachiyate punaha chandraha. Chandraha, he grows again. Upachiyate. Iti vimrishantaha, thinking of all this, considering all this, santaha, santapyante na saptanti. They don't suffer. They don't suffer a heartbreak. Even though they are vipluta, even though they have acquired, they are in adversity or they've got some setback in this world, loke. So santaha loke vipluta api na santapyante, thinking of all these examples in nature. Finally, we come to the last section, which is about the power of destiny. So the fact is that actions and the effects of those actions can often be separated by time, even by many births. So what we did in this birth may actually fructify only in our next birth. What we get now may be the result of something we didn't do now, but maybe we did something in the earlier birth. So this applies to good things also. So we don't have to use this only for things which don't go well. So this kind of clarity, if it is there, then this is also a source of dhairyam to us. So that is why it comes under dhairyam. Interestingly, in the Thirukkural also, the last chapter in Arathapal, in the section on dharma, is called Ul, which is destiny. Ul means destiny. So there also he says the same thing. Sometimes when you look at a very good person undergoing repeated suffering, or you see a very evil person enjoying all good things, remember that there is something called Ul. So this is just to give us a kind of consolation that there is something which is long term, which we cannot see the effects right away. And so we should just continue. So we can make our own destiny, but we should not expect instant results. So again, here one example taken here is of that of Indra. So he is somebody whose guru is Brihaspati himself. So Neta Yasya Brihaspatihi, Praharanam Vajraha. He has Vajra as his thunderbolt, as his Ayudham. Suraha Sainikaha, who are his soldiers? All Devas. Swargo Durgam, his fort is the heaven. Anugraha Khalu Harehe, he has the blessings of Lord Vishnu. Airavato Varanaha, Airavatam is his elephant. Iti Aishwarya Balanvito Api, Balabhid means Indra. Bhagnaha Paraihi Sangare, often in Sangarams, in wars, he is defeated by Asuras, though he has so many wonderful things going for him. Tad Vyaktam Nanu Daivameva Sharanam Dig Vritha Paurusham. So it's a dramatic way of saying all this Paurusham or courage or bravery is the waste. But basically it's trying to tell us that, see, even a great powerful person can suffer defeats. So then we should also be ready to accept if it comes. We shouldn't prepare for defeats, but if it does happen, then we accept it more equanimously. Then again, the quality of blaming or bemoaning, he is telling us to avoid. Patram naiva yada karira vitape dosho vasantasya kim. Is it the fault of vasantam, spring season, if one particular shrub called kariram, which is usually without leaves, it has no leaves. So just because that is leafless, can we blame the vasantam? Na uluko api avalokate yadi diva. If the ulukam or owl cannot see in the daytime, suryasya kim dushanam. Is that a fault of the sun? Dhara naiva patanti chataka mukhe meghasya kim dushanam. If the cloud is giving waters, but the chatakam does not get any water, it's probably sleeping at that time or something. Is that the fault of the megha? Yat purvam vidhina lalata likhitam. Whatever vidhi Brahma has written on our foreheads. Tan marjitum kahshamaha. Who can wipe that away? Marjanam is to remove or wipe it away. Who can wipe away what is written on our heads by vidhi? So again, this is not a defeatist attitude. We should realize that it is said at the very end as a small consolation if things don't go well. So it reminds us of what Lord Rama says to his brother in Kambaramayana. Nadiyin Pizhayandru Narumpula Nilmai. So he says it's not the, Rama says, if the river does not have any water, it's dried up, isn't the fault of that river? Similarly, our Lord Dasharatha, our king, and similarly this Kaikeyi, they are not to be blamed. It is Vidhi in Pizhai. The last line says, Vidhi in Pizhai, ni adarke ennai vekundadu. How come you are angry with this? It's something which is caused by fate. Then, of course, he also says, if you continue collecting your punyam, it will protect you everywhere. Vane, Rane, Shatru, Jalagni, Madhye, Maharnave, Parvatamastakeva, Suptam, Pramattam, Vishame, Sthitam, Va, Rakshanti, Punyani, Purakritani. Purakritam Punyam, meaning punyas or good deeds done long back, can protect Rakshanti. Even if we are in a forest, in a ranam, meaning in a yuddham, in a battle, Shatru, Jala, Agni, Madhye, in midst of enemies, water, fire, everywhere. Maharnave, in the big ocean. Parvatamastaki, if we are on a mountain top. Even if we are suptam, sleeping, even if we are pramatta, careless, vishamastitam, even if we are faced with some danger, meaning everything seems to be not going for this person. Everything is he's surrounded by misfortune, but still punyam can protect him. So this again a indication that we should continue on the path of accumulating punyam with the determination that he is telling us to have. Then one last shloka, which is not directly connected to any of these subheadings. This says that use your life well, especially when you are born in this karma bhumi. This earth is called karma bhumi because here we can create new punyas or new pavan. We can change, we can alter the balance that karma that we have by doing penance to reduce the old karma and doing good deeds to increase the future good karma. So this option is available only in this karma bhumi. Whereas Swargam and Narakam, they are not karma bhumis. There only experiencing the fruits is possible of good karma in Swarga, evil karma in Narakam. You can't create more. So this is the time given to us. This lifetime is given to us to do good things, and he gives some very beautiful examples saying if you get such a birth in this karma bhumi and that too as a human being, if you don't use it well, then such a person, obviously he won't tell us directly, he's saying a person who does not do tapas, having been born in this karma bhumi, look at the last line, Prapya imam karma bhumi, having reached this karma bhumi, na charati manujaha yaha tapaha, the one who doesn't do tapas, manda bhagyaha, he's so unfortunate. He's, he's not lucky, meaning he's not being using his good fortune enough. He's like a person who does, who cooks in a vessel made of Vaiduriam. Vaiduriam, is a gem like diamond or rubies, etc. So in a vessel made of Vaiduriam, imagine if you cook something and that something is not even some good food, but it is tilakhali, meaning the cakes of tilam, sesame. So sthalyam Vaiduryamayam pachati tilakhali. And the fire with which he cooks it is chandanam. So imagine chandanam, the logs of sandalwood, instead of use, they are so valuable, so precious. Imagine burning them as fuel. So chandanaihi indhanaughaihi. Then sauvarnaihi langalagreihi vilikhati vasudha. He plows this earth, vasudha, with a plow which is made of gold. Sauvarnam langalagra, which the tips are made of. So imagine using gold to plate the tips of the plow to make a line, furrow on the earth. It's such a waste of gold. Gold is so precious. We should be using inferior metal for these things. But he's doing that. And why is he doing it? Arkamulasya hetoh. He wants to reap the crop of arka. Arka means what we call erik in Tamil, the crown flower. It's a very ordinary shrub. So just to grow that shrub, he is using golden plows to till the earth. Chitva karpura khandan vritimiha kurute kodravana. Kodravam means millet. the millet field, millet is a very cheap and simple food. Imagine creating a fence for that field with Karpura Khandam, meaning sticks of the Karpura Pushpam. It's a very rare herb, and you take those herbs which are so rare to find and make it as plant those herbs as a fence around a millet field, a very simple food. So this kind of thing is what a person who does not do tapas, having been born in this world, is doing. So you're given a rare opportunity, use it well, is what his message is to us. So we have seen quite a few, around 30 verses today. So to summarize, what is this Neethi Shatakam? It's a book of moral instruction, and it uses very charming poetry. It uses humor, wit, sarcasm, exaggeration, play with words, indirect and subtle usages. All these are done by him and to give us this message. So he inspires us, praises good things, mocks us, mocks evil behavior, bad things, or silly things. He chides, he cautions. So he's actually like a good friend. And we could call this whole book to be coming under the category of Mitra Sammitam. You know that there are 3 categories of people who will tell us good. One is called Prabhu Sammitam, which means ordering us to do good things. This is what the Vedas and Shastras do. Mitra Sammitam is normally used for Puranas. When Puranas tell us, see, look at they tell us the story of Harishchandra, they tell us the story of Pandavas, Lord Rama. So we learn dharma from them, but in a very gentle way, like a friend would tell us. And the third category called Kavyas, like Shakuntalam or Kumara Sambhavam or all those Kavyas, Kiratarjuniyam. These are all books which tell us dharma. There it is called Kanta Sammitam. Kanta means a beloved wife. So a wife would very gently make sure that the husband goes in the path of dharma. If she understands, then she will, and it will be a very pleasant duty for him to follow that, because he wants to also keep her happy. So the entire thing of doing dharma becomes a very joyous thing because of that, because of Kanta Sammitam. So when you read Kavyas, the Kavyas tell us so subtly and so beautifully that it's a joy to try and emulate people like Dushyanta or Pandavas. We want to emulate them and out of our own joy. So we could call these Neethi Nools, these Neethi Pustakas as Mitra Sammitam. They tell us like a friend. And I do hope that with the resources which are available on the net, it will be worth your while to go and look at the remaining verses also. There are very good translations available with the word splitting, etc. In fact, one of them I had put in one of the screens just to give an instance of how the word splitting and the detailed meanings are given in various websites. So you can look at them and learn them, read the entire book. It will definitely be something which is really useful and worthwhile. Then thinking further on, how is this relevant to moksha? We find that these qualities are there in Yama Niyamas of Patanjali. The Yama contains qualities like Satyam, Ahimsa, Asteyam. So good qualities. So Yoga Sutras are actually a path for self-realization, for moksha. So in that also, these become a prerequisite. We find that in Shatpadi Stotram and in Shivananda Lahari, Acharya makes a request to the God saying, please give me these good qualities. The Shatpadi Stotram starts by saying, Avinayam Apanaya Vishnu, Damaya Manaha, Shamaya Vishaya Mriga Trishnam, Bhutadayam Vistaraya. Give me humility, give me compassion to all living creatures, give me self-restraint, etc. In Shivananda Lahari, he says that when you start meditating on Shiva, if that is the Vasanta Kalam which comes into your heart, automatically good virtues start appearing like buds there. So, Shambhudhyana Vasanta Sangini, in that shloka he says, Deepyante Guna Korakaha. Like korakas or buds, these gunas keep appearing. So, it seems that to me that bhakti and virtue, devotion and virtue are mutually nourishing. With our devotion, we ask for better virtues. With our virtues, our devotion also increases. So, it's these two grow together. And we have an instance in Periya Puranam where Sundaramurti Nayanar was, he was once living in Thiruvalluvar, and he had promised his wife that he would never step outside the city, that town. But once, because he was drawn to Thiruvalluvar, he he broke his promise and he stepped out of the town and started walking towards Thiruvalluvar. And the moment he stepped out, he lost the vision in both his eyes. And in books of Periya Puranam, especially I remember the root book which I read, which is by Variyar Swamigal, where he says, even though Sundaramurti Nayanar is a very dear devotee, he's very dear to Lord Shiva, but still truth is more important to the Lord than anything else. So when he broke his word, he was punished for it. So without truth, we cannot, without these truth and all the related qualities, we cannot expect that God will be merciful to us. We've seen this in the conduct of Mahans also, that they don't tolerate pettiness or evilness in evil qualities in their own bhaktas. So that's why this is relevant to our spiritual pursuit. It's not something only connected to dharma and artha, and therefore does not have relevance. This is the last thing which I wanted to say. And these are the two blogs I would recommend, which there may be other ones also. The first one is what I used for the numbering also. The numbers may be slightly different in some other texts that you see. So we'll stop with that, and I'm very happy and thankful to Kamakoti Parayana Mandali this month's opportunity given to me. I could share about this very beautiful book which I really like, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And I pray to our Guru that he should help us in this journey. We have learned the theoretical framework, but acquiring it in practice, something which we should pray to our acharyas. For all of us are in this journey, and I hope that he will bless us all. Namaskar.
Namaskaram, and thank you, Smt Rajani ji. It was a wonderful 1.5 hours as you took us through a path of not just moral sciences, moral education, but wonderfully linking them all to the Purushaarthas, connecting the Purushaarthas to the Shatakatrayam of Bhartruhari, all the wonderful connection there, starting from there, right from there, and the wonderful comparisons to Thirukkural, to various other literature works such as Periya Puranam, and all the Mahans, including Mahapariva, Adi Shankara, and their works. What is really very impacting was the fact that it was I think one of your slides earlier on talked about sarlata or simplicity. It was very evident in your handling of the subject. It's a rather heavy subject, but the way you did the Padachedam and Vakhyapadiyam and explained to us the essence of each of the Subhashitas or Shlokas came out very well, wonderful. It was a 1.5 hour that just whizzed by in no time. Extremely grateful to all the education you have done for us on this wonderful on this great work by Bhartruhari. We look forward to more of your satsangam in the future, especially about Sri Dikshitar's compositions and other research work that you have done, and we look forward to hearing from you on hopefully on another satsangam event. On behalf of KKSF, I'd also like to thank Smt Rajani ji for doing this Parayanam for us. We're also extremely thankful to every one of you for joining us on this auspicious day, Kritika Sankramanam day. Please make a note of Sunday, upcoming Sunday, November 20th, our annual Kritika Mandala Parayanam program will be held at Panchamukhi Anjaneya Temple in Farnsworth, Aurora, starting at 3 o'clock p.m. with Guru Vandanam, Mahaganapati Puja, Vyasa Puja, followed by Parayanam by young Vidyarthis who are learning Vedam from Panditas locally or otherwise in India, and then followed by Veda Parayanam by Panditas from various places in and around Chicagoland. We look forward to your satsangam. Please look for an email or reminder coming out very soon on this. We would appreciate your RSVP so that we can plan based on headcount. And we also look forward to your continued support at future KKSF events. And once again, on behalf of KKSF, Smt Rajani ji, thank you for this wonderful Kamakoti Parayana Mandali lecture talk today. Jai Jai Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha.